Wait continues for more updates on President Trump's tariffs and how much they're affecting the economy. The S&P 500 rose 0.6%, coming off a modest gain that added to its stellar May. It's less than 3% away from its all-time high set earlier this year. The Dow added 0.5%, and the Nasdaq Composite rose 0.8%. Treasury yields held relatively steady following an encouraging report on the U.S. job market, while stock indexes rose modestly across much of Europe and Asia. The Dow was up 214 points today to 42,519. The Nasdaq gained 156 to 19,398. The S&P 500 added 34 points to 5970. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. A famed
On-Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Increasing clouds this evening, a low temperature of 68. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a 30% chance we get some afternoon rain. Cooler with a high temp of 82. More of the same for Thursday with a high of 81 and a 50% chance of some thunderstorms. I'm Cal Moss with your On-Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And we open up Sports Talk with breaking news. There you go. All right. Breaking news. Recruiting breaking news. How about that, Bergie, for opening the show?
I thought you were going with the Tom Thibodeau news that he got fired by the Knicks for some reason this afternoon.
That doesn't pertain to us. Our breaking news has to do, I'm not 99% of the reporters on the internet or on cable television that, 8 hours ago, it's still breaking news as they posted up there. That drives me crazy, the crawl there on ESPN. Breaking news, and it was like 8 hours ago. This is breaking. This was 6 minutes ago. Max Brown commits to Clemson.
By 100,000% he is committed. I don't know how that's physically possible, but...
Well, he actually committed to Clemson 2 years ago when his brother committed to Clemson.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't really know that, but I'm just saying it was an absolute foregone conclusion as he developed as a linebacker behind his brother, Sammy, that he would follow to Clemson. But he's a good player in his own right, 152 tackles last season. Good size on him, and he still has 2 more years of high school. So the first brick in the wall of the Clemson 2027 class, Max Brown from Jefferson, Georgia. And welcome into Sports Talk on this very busy Tuesday night. Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. And the plumber is back in the saddle after being away for how many days were you gone? 3 days? You miss us? Couldn't wait to be back, huh? Couldn't wait
to be back.
Yeah.
That's right.
How will you cut your vacation short to come back?
Yeah.
You were supposed to be gone 4 days. Did you use your gifts? Have you the gifts that we so lovingly gave to you last week, have you tried them out?
To remind the people, it was a plunger, and no, I have not used it yet. I haven't had a use for it.
No, good. That's good. Yeah. How about the shirt?
Yeah, I did wear that.
Oh, good for you. Yeah. It says Cox on it. Did you wear it around campus?
No. I wore it to take out the trash, and then I went to sleep.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be – see, Bergie, he thinks he's going to maintain his Florida allegiance while going to South Carolina. That ain't going to happen.
No question. I will
that can't
remain.
happen. you're going to get your roommate's going to beat
I
you
bet
up every night.
I bet you by December you'll be singing the Carolina fight song, rooting for the Gamecocks against every opponent, including Florida. You'll be caught up in the beam of light. You better get on the Shane train while you're there and catch the beam of light.
The beam of light
at South Carolina.
According to the orientation people at the school, apparently I'm going to be meeting Don Staley and Shane Beamer. So
there you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tell them
Take
you're
your
good friends.
See if you can get an interview.
If you want to get on their
Staley.
bad side, tell them you know us.
Yeah, Bergie,
Yeah,
I definitely
exactly.
will.
All right. So we're off and running. Another great show for you on this Tuesday night. In about 10 minutes or so, we're going to debut a new segment here for the month of June related to baseball. Not just baseball, but American Legion baseball. Something that's sort of been maybe a little bit forgotten, but we're bringing it back to life, trying to. This is the 100th anniversary of American Legion baseball this year in South Carolina. And one of the people behind the American Legion movement for baseball in South Carolina is a gentleman named Chris Dorsey, who operates and coaches the Richland Legion Post 215. He himself was a former collegiate player at Aiken and a professional player in the Mets organization, so he knows a thing or two about ball. And so he'll be joining us on Tuesday nights to update us on the American Legion scene around the state of South Carolina. That should be a lot of fun for us.
I agree. And American Legion baseball in our state is outstanding stuff. The team here in Florence that former Gamecock Derek Urquhart coaches, Post 1, they have gone to the American Legion World Series numerous times. They are always a powerhouse over here, and it's a neat transition because the way Legion ball is set up in South Carolina, I would assume it's the same across the country. But it's high school kids and also kids who I think have just started into college. So you get some really talented players who want to come play and get an opportunity. And it's really, really good baseball. And across our state, there are tremendous teams in the Midlands, especially probably the Haven area for our state of Legion baseball is in the Midlands. And then, of course, this team over here that Derek has got into powerhouse status.
Yeah, I can remember back in the early days of Sports Talk in the 80s and the early 90s, we followed in the summertime. You didn't have anything else going on. I mean, there wasn't recruiting in the summer. And camps, nobody cared about paying attention to college camps. They were for, 8-year-olds. College camps weren't about recruiting events. They were about going to camp and having ice cream and maybe meeting the head coach and running around and having fun. Now it's a business. It's about going and showing off your skills and trying to earn a scholarship. But, there wasn't anything going on. So we gave American Legion a lot of attention. Don Williams really paid attention to the American Legion scene. There was a guy named Tiny Me. Those who have been around a little bit and been around American Legion baseball might remember the name Tiny Me. He was the guy you went to get the scores. He was the score guy. So when we needed playoff scores, we called Tiny Me. I think he was from Clinton, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Monty Dutton can
very possible
confirm that. I want to say he was from Clinton, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But that's a name I remember, Tiny Me. Then I also remember, I think I'm right on this.
His last name is M-E, like me?
M-E-E-H, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also remember that they used to go to a regional, I think I'm right about this, in Bluefield, West Virginia, and we had a phone number for a phone booth outside the ballpark in Bluefield, West Virginia, and we would call that phone booth. I think it might have just been a phone on a pole. It might have been one of those phones on a pole, and we'd have to call that and hope somebody would answer. Hey, what's the score of that post so-and-so game again? Yeah,
now, Josh, a phone booth is a physical building. It's very tiny. Had a phone in it.
It sort of looks like the Portal John. It has a very similar build as a Portal John, except there's a phone in it, which is a good idea. People that make now I got my words all meshed together here because of the Portal John. But those who they should put phones in those things.
I think it's
inside
a great idea.
porta potties. They should put phones in them.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd want to take a phone call from a Porta John, but I think it's actually a pretty good idea.
Some people have taken, they've switched them up and used the bathroom inside of a phone booth. Have you ever been in one of those?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, dear Josh.
Thought I'd point that out.
All right, so we got that coming up for you. At 7:05, Brad Law, L-A-W, who is with the Auburn baseball radio crew, is going to join us to talk about the Auburn Tigers as they get ready for the Super Regional against Coastal Carolina. That's going to be Friday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that first pitch is going to be what, 9 o'clock Eastern time?
9 o'clock Eastern time on Friday. So, again, Chanticleer baseball after dark. So
well after dark. And so the ACC now is proclaiming themselves as regional champions because they have the most teams in the Super Regionals. And how about Ole Miss going down last night? And how about LSU barely escaping last night?
Yeah, I was disappointed. I was watching some of those games, and Miami did the same thing to get past Southern Miss. I was kind of hoping Southern Miss might be able to get through. It would have been cool to have two Sunbelt teams in the Supers. But, yeah, LSU was pushed up against the wall, and to their credit, they found a way. That LSU West Virginia Super Regional feel, especially what you told us last night about how good West Virginia is, I'm not sure the Tigers really want to mess with West Virginia. That is not going to be a piece of cake in Baton Rouge this weekend.
Well, we are guaranteed for certain to have at least one ACC team in the World Series because Miami plays
State, those type teams now become legitimate powerhouses, or at least legitimate teams that can take down what we perceive as the big boys in college baseball.
Well, the SEC, for all its hype, has got to take a look in the mirror because they didn't get it done. They went into the tournament with 13 teams. Now, of course, they're going to be knocking each other out and all that. I get that. They ended up with, four in the Super Regionals. So they had a quarter of the Super Regionals, 4 of the 16. But the ACC got 5, so the ACC can go nanny, nanny, boo-boo. They can wag. The ACC can – Dr. Jim Phillips can wave his little finger at his buddy in Birmingham, say, we got you this time, buddy. All right, we'll be back. American Legion talk coming up.
When I grew up, I want to be a nurse. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a teacher.
There's never been a better time to start making their dreams come true. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to save for their future education. Contributions are tax deductible, earnings are tax free, and you can start saving right now with any amount. Go to futurescholar.com today to discover the smart, easy way to save for college. That's futurescholar.com.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is here, and as you get ready to go out on the water this spring and summer, make sure you have all the required safety equipment on board. Check for a sound device. A horn or whistle will suffice for most boats. Inspect all of your life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition and are the correct size for all of your passengers. If your boat is over 16 feet, you will need to make sure you have an approved throwable device on board as well. Remember, boating safety is no accident.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union by October 31st for a chance to win up to $25,000 towards your qualifying loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. And the best part? We'll be choosing monthly winners, so the earlier you get a loan, the more chances you have to win. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more. Terms and conditions applied. Membership qualification required.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. Chris Dorsey coming up in just a moment. A couple of other notes South Carolina right-hander Ryder Garino going into the Portal John. 34 strikeouts as a freshman, 5.84 ERA. We're going to go over what's left of the rosters for South Carolina and Clemson. I've gone through and highlighted those who are departing and those who are coming back. We'll touch on what those rosters look like as we go through this early part of the transfer period, which just began on the 2nd of June. So that's another Gamecock hitting the transfer portal, John, at this point. There was a Clemson player as well. One of their reserve pitchers is also transferring out. We'll get into all that coming up in just a little bit. But right now on Sports Talk, time to debut a brand new feature we're very excited about here on Tuesday nights called The Rundown, American Legion Baseball Update with Chris Dorsey, presented by the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. The Rundown presented by the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. Like Sports Talk, the Big Red Box dumpsters, they cover the state of South Carolina. Big Red Box containers have convenient swinging doors on the back for easy loading. Make your dumpster rentals simple by calling Big Red Box at 803-783-6834 or Google Big Red Box Dumpster Company. We welcome in the big man from the Big Red Box with the American Legion in South Carolina, Chris Dorsey. Chris, welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing great, Phil. Thanks for having us on to promote American Legion baseball. It's making a huge comeback in the state.
Absolutely. I was just saying earlier how we used to always cover it in the summertime, and I'm glad we're jumping back on it because it's the 100th anniversary of American Legion baseball in South Carolina. I think that's pretty significant.
It is, and I tell you what, it was down for a long time. I mean, travel ball when it first started out, when you had the Justin Smokes and Drew Myers, and you put these super teams together, and you else it kind of, and you know, it was a neat deal because it was the best of the best. But what happened was, like everything else in society, everybody kind of went to it and got to the point. You know, it's gotten to the point now where it's diluted. It's just glorified rec ball at these tournaments. Now they do still have some, you know, good futures games and stuff out there for the elite players for travel ball. But American Legion, we just saw a niche. My kids played, and I started going to these travel ball tournaments, and I would go to these, you know, tournaments out there, and you know the big ones, and the players were just average. I mean, it wasn't anything special, and we were paying all this money. A friend of mine came back and said, you know, it cost $8,000 to travel around with my son last summer playing, you know, elite, quote, travel ball, and it was just crazy. So everybody, you know, complained about travel ball for the longest time, but I said, you know what, instead of complaining about it, how about a solution? And I played American Legion baseball many years ago, and it was great. I didn't even know what was out there, Phil, but I ran into Derek Urquhart, a friend of yours, and Urquhart had been kind of keeping American Legion live, and I talked to him, and went out and watched him play and was blown away by the talent level. And he kind of walked me through how to start an American Legion program. And that was 4 years ago. And we had this incredible, just bunch of seniors from AC Floor and around the area. We were able to put them together, a bunch of college commits and, you know, guys that play in college now. And we went out in our community, played for the community with our community, and we really lit it up and played well. And we started getting fans coming out to the games.
That's fantastic. And, I mean, this is all about letting the parents talk about their kids, hear about their kids, get out and watch their kids play American Legion ball and represent their communities like you're talking about. And you restarted the American Legion team there at Richland Post 215. It'd gone away for about a decade. You've got it going again. How is the growing process coming along with that particular program?
Phil, we started that team with Phillips Daniels and Xander Bukins and Jake Sears, some really good players and a lot of other ones. And it's funny, you know, the parents and the coaches can talk all they want, but when the kids see the great players they come watch them and they listen to them. And those guys I call my foundation team, and they went out and told everybody, look, you don't have to play travel ball to get scouted by college coaches. The competition level at Legion at the senior level is off the charts. It's better if you went and watched Florence play Camden tomorrow or Sumter play us, you're going to see basically junior college baseball. It's better, Florence Post 1 would win the state championship in 5A every single year, and they'd win it in 2 games. I mean, they're just so talented because you get college players now, Phil. But the growth was, what happened was the kids saw it. The first year we did it, we didn't know what we were doing. This is the thing about any listeners out there, you just got to go out there and try it if you've got an opening in your area. And so the kids came out, we started getting crowds at these games. When we had a great season, went to the state tournament, and all the players and parents had a big smile on their face at the end of the season because we don't play on weekends. We don't charge. We're a little bit different. We don't charge in our area. We get it all sponsored. And then, so the next year they called me up and they said, would you do a junior team? And Phil, and I said, well, if we can get 10 or 11 players, I'll do a junior team. Well, we had 48 kids try out for our junior team. And instead of cutting 26 players, we made 2 junior teams. So we had the second year we had 2 junior teams. The third year we came around, the parents came to me and said, would you do a 15U team? And I said, well, if you can get 9 or 10 players, well, we had 50-something kids try out for that team. So we did 2 teams last year at the 15U level, 2 teams at the junior level, and 1 team at the senior. The seniors will always just have 1 team because that needs to be the best of the best. And this year, Phil, we've got 3 15U teams, 2 junior teams, and a senior team with 106 players playing in it.
Holy
so
cow.
I'd say the growth has been pretty unbelievable. But when it's free and you play on weeknights with your community and for your community, it's pretty easy to sell it.
Absolutely. Where are you guys playing your games?
You know what? That's been the hardest thing. But I got to give Andy Hallett at AC4 a big shout out. He stepped up and said, I want y'all to play on my field. I'll go through all the red tape. I want you to, he loves Legion. Most of my players come from AC Flora, and Hallett was a big travel ball guy, and he's really promoted my program. And he doesn't tell every kid where to play, but he does recommend they play for our program because we have great coaches. We take care of players, and he gets it. And so we play at AC Flora, and we play at Ben Lippen, and our junior teams play at Ben Lippen. So we're playing at Ben Lippen. We have 6 teams playing at 2 fields. Gets a little crowded, but we're able to play doubleheaders, et cetera.
Are you catching up on the P15s?
We're playing them tomorrow night, Phil, at Riley Park. And, man, I tell you what, it's just such a joy to go over there. And Bobby Richardson, he always comes to the games, and the kids get to meet him, and that's a pleasure to go see him. And the P15s are tough, and they're consistently good. And we love playing them, and they've kind of held on to Legion forever, and I've got so much respect for those guys. But I tell you, Post 1 is kind of the premier program in Florence because Phil, they're able to get from Latta to Hartsville to Lake City to obviously they get Florence, but their recruiting area is so big and so unbelievable. But he gets the best of the best. Matter of fact, I mean, Cam Canarella played for him. He had, that's not our first year. The kids were like, what's the talent level going to be? And we go out, and first time we play Post 1, because I wanted to play them, Cam Canarella goes 3 for 3, hits a home run, and they're pitching Aiden Palmer. They've got Division I players on their team. They've created a status symbol, Phil, and that's what we're trying to get right now. And we're getting close to it. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting real close.
Is this your season opener tomorrow night?
It is. We were supposed to play last week, but obviously, the weather didn't cooperate 3 out of 4 days. So this week, tonight, I'm actually going to watch my American Legion Junior Gold team play that won the state championship last year. And so proud of those 17U guys, and they're going to be playing Blythewood. And Blythewood is really, the new coach at Blythewood is really bought into Legion, and they have a junior team, and they're really good. A bunch of high school varsity starters play for them, and so they're really good. So it should be a good game.
Should be. Well, our goal with you is to promote what you guys are doing, your program, but also you're generous enough to promote American Legion at large across the state of South Carolina, keeping up on the wins and losses and the standings here on Tuesday night. Is it Tuesday night that most teams – what night across the state do most teams play, or what nights across the state do most teams play?
Yeah, so how they did it, and by the way, Phil, they took it to 7 innings, which was a big deal. So you and I played American Legion, it was 9 innings, and you remember 7 to 9 is just too much, and it was smart. So they went to 7 innings, and they also allowed 19-year-olds to play. So if you go to Florence Post 1, you're going to see a bunch of Flodar players on that team. My team this year had 6 kids that are in college that are able to play. So, which is really good because it makes the competition better. But the guys we play only on weeknights. So weekends are for family and for kids to be kids. And so we play Monday. Typically we'll play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we play 3 games a week during the week. And we just play from, basically late May to the end of July, but we play a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to riding along with you on your shoulders. So thank you. We will catch back up with you at this time next Tuesday night, and good luck to your teams and all the teams around the state in the American Legion competition. Look forward to following it.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
all right,
Chris.
Chris Dorsey. And
love
boy,
his energy.
I'm telling you.
How about that?
He brings it. You can tell he loves, and he loves it, and he's passionate about what he's doing. And again, the rundown is presented by the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. And for more information on them, their phone number is, I'll give it to you in just a moment when I find it. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Increasing clouds this evening, a low temperature of 68. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a 30% chance we get some afternoon rain. Cooler with a high temp of 82. More of the same for Thursday with a high of 81 and a 50% chance of some thunderstorms. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Leaders in Washington. President Trump wants his big, beautiful bill of tax breaks and spending cuts on his desk to be signed into law by Independence Day. And he's pushing the slow-rolling Senate to make it happen sooner rather than later. Trump met with Senate Majority Leader John Thune at the White House earlier this week and has been dialing senators for one-on-one chats, using both the carrot and the stick to encourage them to ask. Federal officials say the wife and 5 children of a man accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at demonstrators in Boulder was taken into custody. The White House said in a post on X Tuesday that the family of Mohammed Sabri Solomon could be deported as early as tonight. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 214 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
If you step out into H&J Cattle's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at hdjcattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle.
It's painting season in the Midlands, and Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovation sets the tone for inspired living. Watch your home change from ordinary to outstanding with colors that liven every wall and craftsmanship you can trust. Michael and his team are fully licensed, bonded, and insured. They care for every detail inside and out of your home. Let's give your home the style and care it deserves. Call 922-5615. Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, where every project reflects pride.
When you've served the Midlands for more than 80 years, you're obviously doing something right. Groucho's Deli has 8 Midlands locations and for decades holds the title of Best Sandwich, Best Salad, Best Sweet Tea, Best Fast Lunch, Best Bang for Your Buck, Best Deli. Well, you get the idea. Order online at Grouchos.com and on the Groucho's app for fast, convenient, and friendly pickup. And sign up for the Groucho's Rewards and Birthday Brownie Club.
And that phone number for the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. I scrolled right past it. 803-783-6834. 803-783-6834. Thanks again to Chris Dorsey. Spread the word on Tuesday nights at about 6:20. Chris will be with us to talk American Legion baseball. You probably won't find better conversation anywhere on American Legion baseball than right here on Sports Talk.
And we've already got a text in from a family member who's big on American Legion baseball, a good friend of our program. Coach Tommy Spangler, Phil, sent me a text and said that his son Peyton was the captain of the 2015 American Legion National Champions when he played for the Chapin Newberry team.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing.
Not just a football family, the Spangs.
You know, exactly. And listen, so many people around the state in one way or another connected to American Legion.
Exactly.
Either through their military service or whatever. And then, of course, American Legion baseball, you got so many grandfathers and fathers and mothers and kids who have played or are playing American Legion baseball. And it's good to hear from Chris Dorsey that it's making a strong comeback across the state of South Carolina. And it makes sense because that travel ball, I'm not knocking it. It is what it is. And for those who want to go that route, so be it. But it is an expensive endeavor to go an entire summer of doing travel ball, from what I've heard from parents who are involved in it. It's a very expensive undertaking. So this is a way to get high-quality baseball experience without the cost.
And also get your weekends free, which I think is really important during the summertime. Because one of the situations you almost run into with travel ball, families, can't necessarily always take vacation time because the kids are playing throughout the summer and certainly on the weekends.
And you get to play with your buddies. You get to play with your buddies. That's one thing. You get to play with people instead of being thrown together in an all-star setting that with complete strangers. So I can see a lot of positives to that. Thanks again to Chris. He'll be back with us next Tuesday. And our phone number, 888-898-2525, if you want to join us. Maybe you played American Legion Baseball and you want to share your memories of playing American Legion Baseball in South Carolina. Did you play for a championship team? Did you go to a regional or maybe to the national tournament? Phone number, 888-898-2525. You can drop us a text message as well. That phone number is 803-900-4847. 803-900-4847. That's brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance here in Columbia. Just seeing other news from the baseball transfer portal, John. This is pretty significant news that the South Carolina reliever Brendan Sweeney is transferring. He was in 23 games this year, 34 strikeouts, had 6 saves. He transferred into the program, and now he's transferring out. So that's a pretty significant loss for the Gamecock baseball program when you lose a guy with an arm like Sweeney has and the experience that he has coming out of your bullpen. That's the kind of guy that you wanted to keep, but who knows what goes into these decisions by the guys to up and leave. Maybe it's the money somewhere else. Maybe he didn't like it any longer in Columbia. Maybe he didn't think he was going to get the opportunity moving forward. So you do have that opportunity as a free agent. Everybody in college athletics right now is a free agent. So you do have that choice to up and leave if you're not happy about something.
Well, please don't take my comment to be flippant. And I'm not talking about you, Phil. I'm just talking in general. But you have to ask this question. Is it a bad thing for the Gamecocks to lose the majority of that pitching staff? I mean, it's almost like losing the majority of an offensive line that gave up 30 sacks. I mean, is it really a bad thing? Were the kids just not that talented? Did they not get coached up? I mean, those are the questions we'll have to ask and certainly find out, I guess, next spring. But if you lose pitchers off a staff that had an over 6 ERA and certainly nearly 10 in conference play, is it a bad thing? Don't you want to replace and get better players?
Well, that's what they're trying to do. I mean, yeah, you're right. If that's a tough question to answer because you wonder about they had a bad season this year as a group. Some weren't as bad as others. Right. And you look at this guy and you think, maybe there's potential there for him to be a closer because he does throw a pretty good fastball. I think like in the lower to mid 90s. And I think that's why he was brought in because he throws fairly hard on a staff that doesn't have a lot of hard throwers on it. So I just think losing a guy like that is kind of significant. Just
That's
like losing.
Point. I mean, it is.
Yeah, I think losing Jersenbeck is significant because potentially he could go somewhere else now and really shine. Stone could go somewhere else now and really shine. So, but I hear what you're saying. If you can replace him with players as good or even better, then okay, that's fine. It's a wash. But as you look at the Gamecocks baseball roster right now, based on what I can tell, and this, of course, is very, very fluid because players are announcing transfers all the time. But based on looking at the roster for this year and the classifications and what's happened so far, right now among starting pitchers, guys who did some starting during this past season, you got Jake McCoy coming back. He's confirmed it. Jarvis Evans could come back. Jackson Susie has confirmed he is coming back. And then Aiden Palmer, a reliever, is coming back. Another one, Zach Russell's confirmed he's coming back. And Anthony Crowther is still out there. I haven't heard anything from him about coming or going. So right now he's still on my list. Riley Goodman, Cooper Parks, Parker Marlott, Wyatt Evans, and that's it. Because it was Sweeney who just announced he was leaving? Sweeney was the one that announced he was leaving. Yeah. So they still have Brandon Stone is still available to come back. He still has eligibility, and I haven't seen anything from him about his future plans. So that would be another one right now. You look at the catcher position, they've got Talmadge LeCroy coming back and Gavin Braylon coming back. All right, so he can come back. I think he's planning on coming back at this point. He hasn't indicated otherwise. First base, you have Bo Hollins coming back, and you have a transfer coming in who plays first base. Second base, Naraki is leaving. Caden Gaskin is leaving. And also, now you do have Jordan Carrion, who also played second base, and he is out of eligibility. So that position's got to be replenished. The shortstop, Henry Kasmer, has a year remaining. Now, again, you got to factor in, are they going to be drafted as well? Like Petrie has a year remaining, but obviously he's going to be drafted. He's not going to come back. Scobie's coming back at third base. You know that. You know Petrie's gone. You know that Mayshore is gone from out in right field. Center field is empty. Nathan Hall, you know he's gone. Evan Stone is graduating. Tyler June is transferring. Left field, Kennedy Jones, Blake Jackson, they're both out of eligibility. And Wojta, the designated hitter, is transferring. So they got plenty of room to rebuild this roster through the portal with their high school recruiting.
Yeah, and they obviously have to, no doubt. And the thing about Nathan Hall, are we so sure that he's going to leave? I mean, he's going to be drafted. Is he going to be drafted high enough where it's worthwhile for him to go and not come back for another year at Carolina?
That seems to be the feeling. I mean,
he was the one that really surprised me that everybody just said, well, he'll be gone. And, judging by what we've seen so far, especially with basketball guys, getting back out of the NBA draft, I'm just fascinated to watch how that might develop when the Major League Draft rolls around here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, the thinking is he's going to be drafted fairly high coming off the season that he had. And he had a little bit of an injury bug. Yeah, he had a little bit of an injury bug that hit him, had that heel issue, remember, that sidelined him for a little bit. But otherwise, I thought he played a very consistent center field for them. I think he was much better at the plate than anybody expected him to be. I mean, he ended up hitting about, 350 on the season?
I think he was their leading hitter, right?
I think he was. He was much better at the plate than people thought going in, considering he had come from Clemson, where he was sort of lost in the mix there, especially at center field. Once Canarella came in and took over in center field, that was it. There was no room for him out there. This year he hit 322. He had 7 home runs. He had 38 RBIs. He was 14 out of 16 on stolen bases, and he committed 2 errors. Those are pretty good numbers on a not such a good
solid,
team.
no doubt.
Yeah. So the process continues for South Carolina in piecing this thing back together. All right, some other notes in our phone number, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. South Carolina's has a player, University of South Carolina had a player to qualify for the U.S. Open, Frankie Harris, playing today down in West Palm Beach, Florida at Oakmont Country Club. They had to complete the round today because of weather yesterday. He had a 2-round score of 133. That's 11 under par, and he finished tied for first with Justin Hicks and Philip Barbary at Emerald Dunes Golf Club. He had 66 in the opening round and 67 in the final 18, and so he is the co-medalist, and that's quite an accomplishment for him. I went through all of the results from all the different spots around the country, looking for South Carolinians who participated, and so Carson Young, let's see, he just missed it. He was in Dallas, the former Clemson golfer, and the cut was -7. He had a 2-round score of -6, so he missed it by 1.
Oh, man.
Now, Trent Phillips of Inman, he did qualify at Duke University, playing their course at 3 under par, and he was one of 7 to make the cut at -3. Bill Haas was +1. Matt Atkins was +2. Kyle Westmoreland was +4. And Matthew Neesmith did not finish. And then state residents trying to qualify at the Piedmont Driving Club in Atlanta, where the top 5 cut was 11 under par.
Yikes.
Yeah. Zach Gordon was 6 under. William Nottingham was 5 under. Miles Eubanks was 4 under. Scott Brown was 3 under. And Andrew Swanson was 2 under. South Carolina's Nathan Franks, he missed the cut at Kinsale Golf and Fitness Club in Columbus, Ohio. The cut for the top 6 was 5 under. He came in at 2 under. At the Emerald Dunes Club in West Palm Beach, Florida, the top 4 cut was 7 under. Williams Belair came in at +1. Chase Klein at +3. And then the Woodmont Country Club in Rockville, Maryland, where the top 4 cut was -3. George Bryan IV was +4. Keenan Husky was +5. Wesley Bryan was +6. And Seth Gainey was +7. So best I can tell, we've got 2 from South Carolina who've made it through what they call golf's longest day to qualify for the U.S. Open. So congratulations to those 2 guys.
Indeed. And did you see where Max Homa, while he was trying to qualify, and I thought he was already in the Open. I didn't realize he needed to qualify as good a career as he's had. But he actually carried his own bag.
Yeah.
Because he cut bait with his caddy like 3 days ago.
Yeah. Saw that. Yeah. And he didn't make it.
No,
he didn't make it. So, all right.
Gives you an idea of how good you have to be, because Max Homa is an outstanding golfer.
Absolutely.
And he couldn't qualify for the U.S. Open.
They don't call it golf's longest day for nuttin'.
No.
For nuttin' hunting. All right, we're going to run to the break, and we'll be back in a moment. Phone number 888-898-2525. Former Clemson offensive lineman Marcus Tate signed on with the Philadelphia Eagles. 4-year starter at Clemson who played mostly at left guard last season, so the Eagles have signed him from a free agent standpoint. We'll be back after this break here on Sports Talk.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30-plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union now through October 31st, and you'll be entered to win up to $25,000 toward your qualifying auto loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. Loyalty Select is our highest yield savings account. Leave it there to grow or transfer it out to spend. And the best part? We'll be choosing monthly winners. So the earlier you get your auto loan, the more chances you have to win. So don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more or begin your auto loan application today. Not a Founders member yet? Visit us online or stop by an office to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. We have the financial tools you'll need and the personalized service you deserve. Relax, you're with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
She says we gotta hold on to what we've got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, and that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, give me one more prayer. Sing
Ian Shefflin out at the Clemson camp today, the Dabo Swinney camp. Picture from David Hood of TigerNet. Out there coaching them up a little bit, probably showing them how to post up underneath. No, I'm sorry, wrong sport. Learning on the job and doing some coaching. I mean, he's a good-looking kid. He's I don't know if he's put. I'm looking at the picture here, trying to determine if he's gotten a little thicker, maybe, or I wonder what kind of weight training they're putting him in to get him ready to be a tight end. What kind of tight end do you think he's going to be?
That's a great question. I really don't know. I thought he'd make a pretty good NBA prospect, but to each his own. I'm looking at the same picture, and I don't see a massive shift in his upper body. And because I think the way he played physically in the post is going to be pretty much how he's hoping. I'm sure Coach Swinney is hoping he'll be able to play as a tight end. He's probably going to, I would think he'll be a much better, of course he had good hands, but it's one thing to catch a round ball versus the oblong ball. But do you see him maybe more as a blocking tight end than go out and run routes and catch passes?
I mean, there's been basketball players, guys like that, tight ends, to make the transition. One of the greatest in history was a former basketball, well, two of them, as a matter of fact, were former basketball players, right, who went on to become –
He's not going to be Tony Gonzalez if you're headed down that road.
Well, that's one of them. Actually, there was three that I'm thinking of. Help me with the names, though. You mentioned Tony Gonzalez, and then you had Jimmy with the Saints, who played at Miami, played basketball with the Hurricanes. Jimmy.
Is it Graham?
Jimmy Graham, okay. And then who was the one with San Diego with the Chargers? One of the greatest tight ends of all time.
Did Kellen Winslow play basketball?
Yeah, that's it. I think go back and look and see if Kellen Winslow was not a basketball guy. Probably did both, but I'm thinking he's got basketball in his background.
If he was, he made certainly the smart decision to play football. He was incredible. Antonio Gates is another one.
Antonio Gates, yeah. So maybe,
San Diego.
Maybe there's a future there for him. Interesting that he would make that move instead of pursuing the dollars in basketball. I would think that maybe his basketball career is done if he doesn't make a pro football career out of this. Kind of hard to go back and pick up those basketball skills after everything you're going through to get ready for football, wouldn't you think?
I would think so. I mean, those two games are completely different in terms of how you train, how you play. I mean, instead of having to be able to run up and down and sprint up and down 94 feet back and forth, that consistent cardio, it's a little different from a tight end's perspective. But maybe he turns into a coach. He seems like he's got a really good head for either basketball or obviously maybe he's hoping to explore an opportunity to be an assistant coach at Clemson in football.
Yeah, possibly. I mentioned earlier that there was another Clemson player, the Clemson baseball player who is transferring. This was a freshman right-hander. Chase Kick appeared in 9 games this season, 2-0, 9.75 ERA in 12 innings. This was reported by the Clemson Insider. So that's another one from Clemson that's hitting the road. We'll do the same thing with the Clemson roster a few more days down the road once we see how many more players of theirs decide to go into the portal. Then we'll kind of take a look at their roster and see who might be coming back based on the class they're in and what their plans are. Because the portal window just opened yesterday, and Clemson just finished up playing ball on Sunday. So players, I guess, are maybe a little bit behind in making their decision. And I'm sure that Eric Bakich is just now getting through player personnel meetings, and guys are just now deciding what they're going to do. But another player there who was not widely used on his team is deciding to hit the road. Coming up after the top of the hour break, we will visit with Brad Law from Auburn, one of their play-by-play announcers for baseball, find out more about the Auburn Tigers as they prepare to take on the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. We hope to have Coach Schnall on from Coastal Carolina maybe tomorrow night, Bergie?
That's in the works. Yes, we're hoping to have him on tonight, and he's busy and have another engagement. So hopefully we can catch him tomorrow before they leave. My guess is they don't play till 9 o'clock Friday night, so my thinking is they'll probably drive out Thursday morning, get out to Auburn, and have practice, I would assume, on Thursday.
Yeah.
Just haven't seen any of that info out yet.
Here's an interesting, it's funny. I was talking to some other media people after the Clemson Upstate game, and Amp Phillips was so impressive on the mound for Upstate. And, we're all cynical these days with the way things work, and you're talking to people and you're thinking out loud, okay, well, Clemson sure did get a good look at this guy. And what if he decides to enter the portal, John? And sure enough, he is, according to Rudy Jones, D1 Baseball lists Upstate pitcher Amp Phillips as being in the transfer portal. I would imagine there'll be a lot of schools clamoring for him. He looked really good in that regional performance against Clemson.
Oh, no doubt. And it's the frustrating part if you're Kane Sweeney at USC Upstate that you develop a kid and have an opportunity to, he's the guy that can take you to places you've never been before, i.e. the NCAA tournament. But on the flip side, now everybody gets to see him, and the chances of you being able to maintain and keep that relationship with him and keep him on your roster moving into next year considerably decreased after that performance he had over the weekend.
Those guys that coach at that level, they have to understand that that's part of the deal now. That if you do develop a player out of nothing and you turn him into an excellent player and he still has eligibility remaining, there's a good chance somebody's going to get the word to him about an opportunity to make a lot of money in a bigger program. And no coach in today's world, the way things are today, nobody's going to blame them for taking that money and stepping up if they get that opportunity. Okay, we'll be right back after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in a post on X says the wife and 5 children of the man accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at demonstrators in Boulder have been taken into custody by federal immigration authorities.
Today, the Department of Homeland Security and ICE are taking the family of suspected Boulder, Colorado terrorist and illegal alien Mohammed Solomon into ICE custody. Now, Mohammed's despicable actions will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But we're also investigating to what extent his family knew about this horrific attack, if they had any knowledge of it, or if they provided support to it.
At least 12 people were injured in that attack on the demonstrators. Popular Christian ministry Focus on the Family, based in Colorado Springs and led by President Jim Daly, has been designated as a so-called hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, a left-leaning political activist group. Daly's pushing back against the center's inflammatory rhetoric, saying it always finds a way to hate Christians. Gary Schneeberger, assistant to president for media relations, tells Tom Tranup of SRN News, a nationwide survey indicates Focus on the Family is the farthest thing from a hate group.
This is just from last year, Tom. This is last year's survey. 170,000 couples with marriage in crisis say Focus on the Family helped them make significant progress towards saving their marriage. 530,000 moms and dads credit us with helping them build stronger families in the course of the year. That's what's really going on, and that's what's really going on under the leadership of Jim Daly.
Other Christian organizations branded hate groups by the Southern Poverty Law Center include such respected names as the Family Research Council and the Alliance Defending Freedom. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Big news! Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange, and millions like you are joining our news revolution. Newsmax is now the 4th highest-rated news channel, just behind CNN. Reuters says we're one of the top news brands in America. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax for shows with Rob Schmidt, Greta Van Susteren, Rob Finnerty, and more. So download our free Newsmax app on your smartphone or TV and start watching. President Trump says Newsmax is truly terrific. Get the free Newsmax app and check out Newsmax shares on the stock exchange. Go to NewsmaxInvest.com. That's NewsmaxInvest.com. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such an offer would be unlawful.
Ukraine announced a major victory, destroying a number of Russian bombers. The official Russian response was muted, with the attack getting little coverage on state-controlled television. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma says the attack damaged a key element of Russia's so-called nuclear triad.
During the 3-year war in Ukraine, Russia has used the heavy planes to launch waves of cruise missile strikes across the country. Ukraine says more than 40 bombers were damaged or destroyed on Sunday. That's about a third of Russia's active fleet. The bold attack demonstrated Ukraine's capability to hit high-value targets anywhere on Russian territory, dealing a humiliating blow to the Kremlin.
The surprise Ukrainian drone attack that targeted Russian air bases hosting nuclear-capable strategic bombers was unprecedented in its scope and sophistication. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters. The
On-Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Increasing clouds this evening, a low temperature of 68. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a 30% chance we get some afternoon rain. Cooler with a high temp of 82. More of the same for Thursday with a high of 81 and a 50% chance of some thunderstorms. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We are back, hour number 2, Sports Talk Media Network across the state of South Carolina. Great to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and the plumber, Josh Cohen, all back together again on this Tuesday night. Got recruiting coming up for you. Josh Harris from Darlington will be here. We'll talk NASCAR with the president of Darlington coming up in a couple of minutes. We got one team standing in our state when it comes to the postseason baseball. That is Coastal Carolina. Shauna Claire is going to be heading over to Auburn for a super regional with the Auburn Tigers. And what a year Auburn has had this season. Let's welcome in to talk more about Auburn in this matchup with Coastal Carolina from an Auburn standpoint. Brad Law with the Auburn baseball broadcast crew joining us here on Sports Talk. And good evening, Brad. How you doing, buddy?
Guys, we're doing great. Hope everybody there is as well ahead of this really big super regional, the first one ever in school history on the Plains this weekend.
Can't believe that. First one ever.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. We've gone on the road a few times for supers, but never hosted one, and so it will be a happening this weekend for sure.
Well, I've been there for regionals. I covered Clemson there a few years ago when y'all hosted that regional. I think y'all won that regional and went on from there. But the excitement level, besides the fact that it's the first time, but having a team like Coastal Carolina, fans around Auburn, are they kind of like, what's Coastal Carolina, man? We should have no trouble here, or do people in the know really know what they're getting into?
Oh, the people in the know know. The people in the know know that Jacob Morrison had one 3-ball count in his last start, and didn't have. I mean, that was to the first batter of the ball game, and didn't have another one the whole rest of the way. They know about the pitching. They know that it's a team that's capable of explosive offense. I think those in the know absolutely understand and respect this Coastal Carolina team. I think, guys, that Auburn and Conway were two regionals where it was really trendy to pick someone other than the host. to come through that, and neither would be phased. This was, both places. I think it was trendy to pick somebody else. Oh, it's going to be Florida. Oh, it's going to be East Carolina. Oh, it's going to be NC State or Stetson. No, the two best teams in those regionals, the two deserving hosts, came out of it, and it's a whale of a matchup.
What do you like about this Auburn team?
Ooh, how long's the segment?
We got all night.
I think it starts big picture. It's Butch Thompson, the head coach, who's in his 10th year, and in his very first press conference, he talked about layered trust. It's one thing for a team to buy into the first year of a new coach. It's another thing for a community, for a whole fan base to really be invested, and they are now. This is, again, he's doing things no other coach has done before. The venerable and legendary Hal Baird won 3 regionals. Butch has now won 4, more than any other coach in school history, 14-4 in regional games as the head coach. And so from the top down, and his team sort of embodies the speak softly and carry a big stick. He doesn't yell and scream. He's not about all the antics that you see elsewhere in the college game right now in some other places. But his teams just go to work, and they don't give anything away. They don't give away pitches. They don't give away at bats, and they keep fighting even when they're down. And so that's the big picture. When you get down into the kind of the micro level, I love the fact that they had a top 10 recruiting class and a top 10 transfer portal class, and those guys have lived up to the expectation. They've lived up to the billing. We can pull guys left and right from the freshman class and the portal class that have been major contributors on this year's team. And I just love that, because so often you get this narrative that, well, this team or that team doesn't live up to the billing, and these guys have. The freshmen have, and the transfers have, and that's why they're one of the final 16 teams in America.
Yeah. And a lesson here for South Carolina fans, because the Gamecocks, of course, were not very good this year, and they didn't make the tournament after having made the tournament for a few years. And you guys didn't make the tournament last year after having made it for several years. Last year was kind of an off year, but you bounced back this year through exactly what you said: good portal recruiting, good high school recruiting, and having guys step up. And you probably have had several guys having career years this season.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll start with that freshman class, and I'll start at catcher. Chase Freilich is a guy with a tennis background, had 60 Division I tennis offers, but also was a tremendous baseball player. But he's been a consistent hitter, and he has caught every win in SEC play and every win in the postseason to this point. He's been the regular catcher. Kind of displaced Ike Irish, who's going to be a first-round Major League pick, and we'll talk about Ike here in a second. But Ike was hit on the back, suffered a fractured scapula early in the season, missed a couple of weeks. Chase Freilich moved right into the catcher's spot, and that has allowed Ike, his consistency has allowed Ike to stay in right field. So Chase has been excellent. And then Chris Rembert had a case for SEC Freshman of the Year. He's batting, 350 for the season and had better numbers in SEC play than he did non-conference games. So really stepped up against the best pitching Auburn saw this season. Bub Terrell is another guy who was named the regional MVP, powerful left-handed hitter. You'll see this guy over the weekend and go, he doesn't look like a freshman. He is a physical specimen and has a professional approach to the game, and drove in 8 runs over the 3 games. So these guys are hitting the ball tremendously well, playing defense tremendously well. Those 3 guys in the freshman class are the ones that I kind of would point to first, everyday players in the lineup.
Remarkable stuff. Brad Law with us from the Auburn Radio Network. Coastal and Auburn, they get the Friday, Saturday, Sunday setup if necessary. And Brad, as you mentioned, Phil talked about the matchup with South Carolina earlier this season, so you guys have seen a team from the state. You're getting a much better team from the state. I think everybody would agree this weekend. But yeah, talk about Rembert and Irish once again, because I was just so impressed with what they were able to do against South Carolina, and it seemed like every time they stepped to the plate, they came through with a base hit, drove in a run, and that whitewashing of the Gamecocks for 3 games. But how have you seen their development since you talked about that very, very strong freshman class from the beginning of the year to where they are right now getting ready for a super regional?
Yeah, Rembert has been, from the beginning. Auburn played Florida State down in Pensacola, and Chris is from Pensacola. in the fall. They played 2 exhibition games, and it was all Florida State. I mean, it was an event for Florida State. Auburn was just there. And Auburn dominated the 2 games, and Chris Rembert was the best hitter. He's got a quick bat. He's got a really good mind for evaluating the strike zone. It's tough to strike him out. He's got a professional approach. When you ask him about, he doesn't use a lot of words, but he'll tell you, all right, this guy's slider wasn't very good, so I just took that away and focused on the fastball. I mean, it's just a real, it's kind of straightforward. He gets it. He's a baseball player. He gets it. And not every 18-year-old that steps foot on campus does that. He reminds me a little bit of Ryan Bliss, who stepped right in for Auburn as a freshman back in the, I think, 18 class maybe, and is now in the Seattle Mariners organization, and were it not for an injury, would be with the big club this year. For Ike Irish, every at-bat, he's trying to find a gap in left center. He's a left-handed hitter, but has power to every part of the ballpark. He's a competitor. He's as aggressive a competitor as you'll see anywhere in the country. Competes for everything. He's just kind of that guy. He's the guy that you want in the lineup that won't give a pitch away, won't give an at-bat away. And we've seen his power. We've seen his athleticism. He's stolen 10 bases. I think there may be between like 15 and 20 players in the SEC this year with double-digit home runs and steals. And he's one of those guys, just a relentless competitor who's intentional about everything he does. He graduated from Auburn in 3 years. And so to do that while maintaining the athlete portion of the student-athlete schedule, he's just very regimented, has a plan, knows what he wants to do, and more often than not executes it.
Brad, looking up and down the list of your games this season, Auburn can score a bunch of runs. It's fairly obvious. I mean, I'm guessing somewhere in the neighborhood, just a quick cursory glance, you can take the Gamecock series out of it because that may even skewed the offense. But 8-9 runs a ball game seems like what Auburn can do. Going up against the Coastal pitching, can they also win perhaps a game that goes 3-2? Is not as high scoring because Coastal's pitching staff has proven it can shut down some pretty good offenses this year.
Yep, that's going to be the question. It's like both teams have a really strong right cross. For Coastal, it's the pitching. For Auburn, it's the hitting. Who's got the better left hook? Can Coastal's offense put together consistency against Auburn's pitching? And as I talk to you tonight, I don't know what the rotation is going to be over the weekend. Cameron Tilley opened it up for Auburn last weekend, win an inning in the regional opener against Central Connecticut. They needed a career game from Carson Myers out of the bullpen in order to stabilize that game. And then Samuel Dutton hadn't pitched in 2 weeks, and he goes over 100 pitches on Saturday. So I don't know that you bring him back on Friday. It is a good question. You can point to a handful of games. There were some lower-scoring games against LSU. I think a lower-scoring game maybe against, I don't remember the Oregon State score earlier this year. But, I think you nailed the question. Can they? I think it's more can the pitching keep Coastal Carolina in check if the offense is a little bit limited? You can find games where maybe Auburn scored 5 or 6 runs and still won the ball game. Probably can't find too many where they scored 2 or fewer. Outside of one game against Georgia Tech, they won 1-0. It was a home game against Georgia Tech. It was about the only one that comes to mind without looking at the schedule where they won a very close, low-scoring game.
Brad, you obviously went through the Southeastern Conference and saw the majority of the teams this year. Are you surprised, as we have been over here in South Carolina, with the sort of lackluster performance, by taking your club out of the mix, but the majority of the teams just not performing nearly as well during the NCAA tournament this year?
I'll be truthful with you. I was not surprised that Texas and Georgia struggled because Texas lost their Friday night starter about midway through conference play. After our series in Austin, he actually came out of that start early, and then later, early the next week, they announced he was done for the year, and they struggled the back half of the season. They had such a huge lead, they were able to still win the regular season title, but they struggled down the stretch. Georgia struggled. They lost more series than they won the back half of SEC play. But again, because their front half was so good, they were still able to earn a host. I wasn't surprised that they struggled. I was shocked that Vanderbilt struggled. They were the hottest team in the league going into regionals. So I was floored that they struggled. Florida was I'll tell you, I was a little surprised that Florida didn't fare better because of how hot they were the second half of the season. So, yes and no. There were some that totally shocked me, and then others that I thought, well, they could be in trouble if things don't turn around quickly, and then that was the case.
Well, I remember my time there, my few days, and I've been there for football, basketball, and baseball at Auburn, but I remember the few days I was there for that regional a few years ago, just had a great time. Now, I know the campus has grown and the whole area has grown since then, and the ballpark, as I recall, was kind of a tight thing, and you have this kind of have an elevated wall in left field at Plainsman Park. Tell me more about the stadium, any changes, and what are a couple of the unique things about the place with the stadium and with the fans that the Coastal people going there would be interested to know?
Well, it's interesting. The last time Clemson was here, I think may have been 2010, and Clemson won it on a Monday. Auburn tied it on Sunday with a ninth-inning home run by Creed Simpson, and the place went nuts, and it was over the monster in left. They've rebranded it the War Eagle Wall, but it's like Fenway. It's a green monster in left, and so it's 315 down the line, and it's 335 on up the wall a bit, but it's a 30 to 50 foot wall in left field. So you get a lot of balls that bank off that wall that might be gone otherwise. They have added, for people making a first trip there, this won't mean very much, but if you were there previously, it's not as tight now because just in the last 2 years, they have added seating behind home plate. The backstop is among the most shallow in the country. There's as little room from the plate to the backstop as you'll find anywhere in the country. And that came into play. Auburn actually threw a guy out at the plate from Central Connecticut who tried to score on a wild pitch. He didn't account for the short distance behind the plate. But capacity over the last 2 years has increased from about 4,500 to over 7,000. There's a parking deck that is almost directly adjacent to the left field corner. And so there's probably about 1,000 people that go party up on the deck and hang over the side and watch the game there. Right center field, there is more of a student area that is populated in the postseason like crazy. They've added premium areas down the first base line that weren't there just before this year. Those were added. So capacity now, they had 22,000 plus for the 3 games over the weekend. And it really, to me, I thought our fans were more engaged this weekend than they had been for any series or any postseason that I'd ever been a part of. I really think that, and our administrators did a fantastic job. I think people who are coming in from Coastal Carolina to watch this series will walk away impressed with the operations, impressed with the venue, and just how everything is run this weekend.
Here's the most important question. Will Bruce Pearl be sitting out with the fans with his shirt off?
I don't know if he'll have his shirt off, but I think he'll probably be there. He was there this past weekend. He was there. We looked down, and there was a line for pictures, and we thought it was Aubie the Tiger. It was not. It was Bruce Pearl. But we've had Coach Pearl. We've had Frank Thomas. We've had all sorts of dignitaries at games this season.
That's awesome, man.
Hey, Charles Barkley might be able to come, too, now that he doesn't have anything to do with the NBA.
That's true. I don't know if he's on a beach somewhere or what, but this would be a good place for Charles this weekend.
Hey, Brad, thank you so much, man. Great stuff. Appreciate the insight. Have a great weekend. Chris will be there covering with Coastal and for us as well, so you guys will probably bump into each other in the press box. And we thank you so much as always.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, we look forward to having everybody in town. Please travel safely here and enjoy your time in Auburn this weekend. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it very much. Brad Law from Auburn. Yeah, you're going to have a great time there, Bergie. It's a great sports college, a great little community there. It's like Clemson. I hate to say it because everybody says it, but I'll say it. It's Clemson without the lake. You're going to think you're in Clemson. There's just no place to go water skiing right there.
Yeah, my wife used to work at Auburn earlier in her athletic training career. She's always had an affinity for that place.
Yeah, nice place. Nice little college town, and we'll be right back.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III. Heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5.
Oh, my brother, you don't have to follow in your bloodline. Oh, we got each other, and if you got tomorrow, then you still got time to break the chain that left you scarred from where you came into who you are. Oh, my brother, you don't have to follow in your bloodline. Oh, I won't pretend that I know half the hell you've seen, but that don't mean it's something that you're destined to repeat. Oh,
Good stuff from Brad Law from Auburn. Enjoyed listening to him. And, yeah, I mean, the point I'm making is Auburn didn't make the tournament last year. They had not such a good year last year, and they got players, and they turned it around, and here they are going to be in a super regional. Ike Irish, fantastic player, 362 batting average, 18 home runs, 57 RBIs, 11 out of 12 stolen bases. He's the center fielder, and he's special, as you heard him say. Chris Rembert, a 347 batting average, 10 homers, 45 RBIs. As a team, they're batting .305. They've got 86 home runs. They field at a .982 clip.
It's insane. It's insane how good defensively they are. Mm-hmm. And, Phil, you talked about Irish and him being a center fielder. When's the last time you can remember seeing a collegiate center fielder with double-digit assists? He's got 11 on the year.
I can't recall.
Yeah, I mean, you don't normally see that. You normally, obviously, your infielders have a ton of assists, but yeah, for him to be able to throw out 11 players this season, just amazing. And they're a very good baseball team. And you're right, the one thing they did though, they got into the high school recruiting, obviously, very, very well with all the freshmen that Brad was telling us about. I'm looking forward to seeing them play. I did not get to watch much of what they did to South Carolina, but be fascinated to watch them play this weekend. They've got a very good baseball team.
Their three weekend starters: Samuel Dutton, Christian Chatterton, Cade Fisher. If my memory is right, and I don't claim to know all these guys inside and out, I think Cade Fisher is the guy that's the really hard thrower for them. Okay. Check me out on that, but I think he's the guy that is a real hard thrower. They may have multiple guys with big arms.
Well, the one that scares you just looking at his stats is Samuel Dutton with 92 strikeouts against only 18 walks.
Yeah, but Fisher's got 50 strikeouts in 39 innings, 39 and 2/3 innings. They do have some guys who throw hard. Their team ERA is 4.71. Teams are hitting .250 against them. Mm-hmm. They've only given up 56 home runs. That's a pretty good total, especially in that bandbox they play in. I mean, I'm sure they have a lot of fly balls that go to die up against that left field wall. And you get a lot of doubles out of it. They have I don't know how many of these were at home, but their opponents have 129 doubles. So they've given up some wall balls over there, no doubt. But this will be a good test. But you know what? I think that Coastal doesn't have to take a backseat to anybody. Do you?
No, not with their pitching staff. As I mentioned last night, best team ERA they've had in a long, long time. And that's why I asked Brad, can Auburn win a 3-2 ball game, or do they have to score a bunch of runs to compensate? And I think that's going to be the interesting matchup, Coastal's pitching staff against Auburn's hitting, and how will they try and attack those guys, especially Irish and Rembrandt.
Go back to the games with South Carolina this year in Auburn, and those were not good times for South Carolina,
no,
to say the least. Well, I mean, all right, they got murdered 24-2. That was the game where you couldn't have the run rule because let's see, they didn't score until like real late. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a run rule game. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
They scored 9 runs in the fifth. Yeah, it was 24-2, and they ended after 7. 24-2. They had 20 hits that game. I was thinking of one of those games where the Gamecocks got stuck in like the 8th and 9th inning, and couldn't get the team out, and it ran up a big number. But then the Gamecocks had a game with them, typical of their season. They get beat 11-10, got a chance to pull one out, and they give up the winning run for Auburn, scored in the bottom of the ninth. Gamecocks had 17 hits that day. That was against Dutton. Started for Auburn, gave up 8 hits and 5 runs. So McCoy pitched for the Gamecocks, who had a big day offensively. Bo Hollins had 4 hits. Kazmar had 3 hits. Wojta had 3 hits. Gamecocks had 17 hits that day. So, hey, it can be done, If South Carolina had won some of those kind of games, wouldn't have turned their season around, but it would have looked better.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Increasing clouds this evening, a low temperature of 68. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a 30% chance we get some afternoon rain. Cooler with a high temp of 82. More of the same for Thursday with a high of 81 and a 50% chance of some thunderstorms. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing the Wing and a Prayer Wednesday special. Purchase an order of wings and a drink and get a free gift card for the arcade. We have some of the most mouth-watering jumbo wings like flamethrower hot wings, barbecue wings, teriyaki wings, honey mustard wings, terry hot wings. You can get a half dozen for $9.95 or a dozen for $18.95. Served with celery and choice of dressing. So come join us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy some great jumbo wings and lots of fun in our new and improved arcade. And we at Flight Deck Restaurant thank y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump wants his big, beautiful bill of tax breaks and spending cuts on his desk to be signed into law by Independence Day. And he's pushing the slow-rolling Senate to make it happen sooner rather than later. Trump met with Senate Majority Leader John Thune at the White House earlier this week and has been dialing senators for one-on-one chats, using both the carrot and the stick to encourage them to ask. Federal officials say the wife and 5 children of a man accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at demonstrators in Boulder was taken into custody. The White House said in a post on X Tuesday that the family of Mohammed Sabri Solomon could be deported as early as tonight. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 214 points. More details at srnnews.com.
I bet you've heard us say this, you can't pick your power company. So how can you control your power bill? By partnering with Ken and his local team at Broker Solar. Ken, our power is not getting any cheaper.
So every year there's typically a rate increase that happens, and the utilities claim that they want to keep up with their operating costs. Now, Broker Solar allows you to take control of that cost, own your power, create it, store it, and then use it when you need it. There's special solar financing that would take advantage of the tax credits. You can have several options on how long you'd like to pay off your solar system and how quick the return could be.
No two homes are the same, so you work with homeowners, business owners to fit their needs based on how many solar panels they need and even where they want the panels to go. Most folks prefer it on the roof, but some don't.
We frequently get asked about solar on the ground or even on a separate solar structure like a carport or a lean-to that comes off the house.
Call Broker Solar. Call them now, 803-807-7417 or online, brokersolar.com.
Saturday evenings are about to get that much more fun. It's time for Rhythm on the River, proudly presented by the Greater Casey West Columbia Chamber. Saturday, June 7th at the Riverwalk Amphitheater, it's the Gas Pumpers. And on the 14th of June, listen to Going Commando. It's family-friendly, pet-friendly. Come out and experience great food trucks, tremendous music, and a night on the town. It's Rhythm on the River. For more information on this and all events, check out www.visitcwcsc.com.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, it's Mary Catherine
and Thomas from Louisiana Purchase, inviting you to start your day sweet with beignets and coffee from 9 to 11.
Treat yourself to lunch at Louisiana Purchase and find one-of-a-kind gifts you won't see anywhere else.
Stop by Cypress Market for gourmet meats, cheeses, fine wines, and ready-to-go items.
Give your weddings, graduations, holidays, and office parties Southern flair with our catering and custom charcuterie.
Visit Louisiana Purchase, your taste of the South, all in one stop.
LouisianaPurchase.com.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
All right, Nashville was a happening place. CMA Awards this week. Race last Sunday night. That was a hopping town. Of course, Nashville's always a hopping town. Another good race for NASCAR with Ryan Blaney coming out with the victory. A little over a second ahead of Carson Hocevar, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, William Byron in your top five. Let's welcome in the president of Darlington, Josh Harris, to Sports Talk once again for his weekly visit on NASCAR. Welcome in. What'd you think of the Nashville presentation?
Well, I thought it was an interesting race for sure. Good to see Ryan Blaney get his first win of the year. You know, that team has had a lot of speed throughout the year, but battled several, I think 4 races where he didn't finish, mostly out of things happening. They were a little abnormal for Team Penske. So I was not surprised to see Ryan eventually get in the victory lane, and the way that race unfolded, had some great racing through the early stages, some 3-wide racing for the lead. You had different drivers taking their turn, and then we ended up with about a 100-lap green flag run to finish it, which set up some interesting strategy on the pit cycle, and ultimately Ryan had a strong car there that pulled away and secured the win. So that was a good race overall, good weekend in Nashville. I was up at that race last year when it was at the end of June during the day, and I think a nighttime race there works out really well as warm as it starts to get in the summer. So
good second race for Amazon Prime Video, and we're off and running with the summer.
There you go. How about Carson Hocevar? Here's a guy that you've kind of watched him grow as he's gone through his career and his development, and second place finish for him, knocking on the door to what would be his first NASCAR Cup win.
Yeah, I think Carson is on a path to potentially be a big star in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's got a lot of personality. He's a talented race car driver, and he quickly rose up and had success in the NASCAR Truck Series. Found this opportunity early on with Spire Motorsports to jump in as their team has been growing. Second place, runs strong, runs aggressive. He's a guy that's got a little personality and got a little bit of maybe some growing to do, but he certainly shows his talent behind the wheel of those cars, and it was cool to see him get that second place. And I think you're right. A win is probably not too far off in the distant future for Carson, especially if he keeps running that well.
And you look at the rest of the field, Chase Elliott, who has yet to score a win, who's been very consistent all season, kept him up in the top 5 in the points, yet a 15th place finish for him, not one of his better showings on the season. What are you seeing from his team? When do you think he's going to break through? Is it a matter of him getting to a particular track before he breaks through?
Well, I mean, like you said, he's had speed for a large portion of the season. Just hasn't been able to close it out with any wins, but he's had good, strong finishes. At Nashville, it definitely wasn't that team's best race. I think, as I watched it, most of the race, they stayed kind of in that, 12 to 20 range from a running order standpoint. He never could quite get the track position to get up there to contend. Like William Byron was, his teammate. Alex Bowman early on was running up a little ahead of him before he got into his accident. And Larson, while not a typical, strongest performance from Larson, still finished, with a solid showing there. So I think Chase, a win's going to come. Certainly he does well on the road courses. I think he'll be a contender there. But that team also has speed at some of the other tracks when you think about, Iowa maybe coming up, or, Pocono later in the summer, Michigan this weekend, a big 2-mile track. So I think Chase is going to get to victory lane, and it's just a matter of when.
Josh Harris, president of Darlington Raceway, with us on this Tuesday night. Normally joins us every week at this time to talk NASCAR. And Josh, speaking of Kyle Larson, he's obviously going to be in the playoffs. Heck, may win the regular season with all the victories. He's got 3 thus far. He's won 8 stage segments, and he's also already got 23 playoff points. When you're in a position like that as we head into the summertime, is it more about getting information on the tracks that you may see later on in the year? I mean, how much is winning as important as getting your plan for September and October?
Well, I think all these teams would tell you it's both. They want to get the ability to build a little bit of a database, maybe test some things on, even if it's not the exact same track they'll go to. If it's similar setup, similar style track, they may try a little different setup at one. That could give them some information that would be helpful as they get into the playoffs in that 10 races. So I think it's a little of both, but you ask any of these drivers, anytime they strap that helmet on, they want to win. And so sure. I don't know that it's, they're going to completely sacrifice, a win or an opportunity to win right now for the long term. But I do think there's probably some give and take there with the teams, especially, someone like Larson, who's got multiple wins, who's, pretty secure in terms of being in the playoffs at this point. But at the same time, they want to rack up those stage points. They want to rack up those bonus points that come along with winning, because that can help them just as much once the playoffs get here as testing and working on setup. So I think it's a little of both. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, I think back in the, in their run, were kind of known for that. They would get into the summer months and really work on things that ultimately came back to help them in the playoffs, and that formula has certainly been successful for Hendrick in the past.
Josh, big news today out of Atlanta. They actually announced a naming right for the track itself. It's no longer Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's going to be Echo Park Speedway. And I remember when NASCAR made a change in sort of its marketing plan and got away from the Nextel Cup Series or the Winston Cup Series, whatever the case may be. Is this the new way to generate revenue? And could we, pause for breath for a moment, could we ever see a naming right at Darlington Raceway?
Hell no.
Well, I would say this. We've seen this in the sport a number of times. When you think about Charlotte Motor Speedway was once Lowe's Motor Speedway, and now right now you've got the old Gateway is Worldwide Technology Park, and there's other examples of this happening. So it's not a new naming rights is not a new phenomenon in NASCAR. It doesn't happen as often. As I look at this one, Echo Park Automotive, especially for all of the Speedway Motorsports tracks, have really been a partner, and they're using the platform of NASCAR to build the brand of Echo Park in a number of ways. And I think this is just another example of that. From what I read, they've got locations predominantly in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Carolina. So it's a natural fit there. And I think it's, if there's a way to generate additional revenue, then that's great for them. I don't see anything on the horizon for Darlington Raceway at the moment. So, for us, I think I like having that traditional Darlington Raceway attached to us. But, you got to give credit to the team in Atlanta and Speedway Motorsports for taking maybe a little bit of a chance in how fans, are going to be accustomed to the name Atlanta Motor Speedway. But there's so many other elements that go along with a deal like this. Aside from just what the fans will refer to it as, there's all kind of media opportunities that come along with this that Echo Park will benefit from.
So what would it cost us to have it Sports Talk Darlington Raceway?
Well, I was telling Chris, I've been out of the office for about a week, so let me get back. Let me pencil up some things, and we'll talk about it in the coming weeks.
There's not enough ink in my pen to write that check. I can promise you that. All right, so we've got the drivers now after Nashville. We've got the drivers set to participate in the in-season challenge, and the Michigan race is the first race for seeding purposes. There's two others after that. So I know you're looking forward to explaining to everyone that you see the next couple of weeks how this is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot like a bracket in the NCAA tournament or any other kind of bracket style, field where the drivers, in addition to racing in the race, are going to be, bracketed against each other. And after these first three races, as you mentioned, kind of set the seeding for the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Then every week they're kind of facing heads up against each other. It's a race within the race. And it just gives another storyline, especially as we transition from Prime Video over to TNT, Warner Brothers Discovery, for their 5 races of the season before we get into the playoffs. So to me, it's another great way to fill the schedule through the summer months. Maybe bring in some casual viewers to see, hey, what's this tournament about? You got to give credit to Denny Hamlin, Dirty Mo Media. They kind of started this a couple of years ago. Kind of on their own, and it's morphed, and great idea. It's going to be part of our schedule now. There's a bonus for the winner. So it'll be a cool way to keep up with kind of a race within the race for once we get it kicked off.
Are you ready for the blowback, though, from the old-timers and long-timers who say, if it's not about the racing, then what's it about?
Well, it's still about the racing, and if you don't care about the tournament bracket, you don't have to pay attention to it. It's just an added element. It's not going to change how these guys race. William Byron's going to be out there trying to win every race he can. It doesn't matter who he's going up against, but it'll just be another part of the storyline that we can talk about, that the media can talk about as they cover the race. Warner Brothers Discovery, they've got extended, part of this relationship is the House of Highlights and some other content areas that Warner Brothers Discovery has, and this will be a good way to get NASCAR picked up on some of those. And again, a lot of these things are done with the spirit of trying to get different eyeballs and new people to tune in and check out NASCAR and become fans of the sport.
All right, we'll see how it goes. How about ticket sales, getting ready for the Cookout Southern 500 as we hit June. We got July. You got about 90 days until you're ready to crank it up again.
That's right. It's going to be here before we know it. June, July, end of August. It's just around the corner. So tickets are flying off the shelves. Are still available. DarlingtonRaceway.com. And also want to mention this coming Saturday we've got our next track laps for charity from 10 to 1, $30. Gets you 3 laps around the track Too Tough to Tame. We're partnering with the House of Hope of the PD for our charitable partner for this one. So if you're out and about on Saturday, come check us out. Track laps for charity. And then on Sunday, we're having a watch party for the Michigan race at Delicious, the pizza place on the square in downtown Darlington. So some fun ways to come and hang out with our team this weekend in Darlington.
Fantastic. I'm sure you'll see KT around somewhere, Kerry Tharp. He'll probably be involved in that bracket. He was a big bracket guy back in the day, so I can imagine him having his own bracket. We'll talk to you next week. Michigan's always a lot of fun. Love watching the race there, and we'll talk about it next week.
Thanks, Josh.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Josh. All right. Chris, something else about NASCAR I'll never be able to figure out will be this in-season tournament.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I love Josh's spin on it, but I think Jeff hit it perfectly. It's gimmicky, and there's no reason for it. It's much like the NBA in-season tournament. I still don't know an NBA fan that was all fired up about that.
I know one. K-Mac.
Because the Lakers, I was going to say, did the Lakers win it?
Lakers won
it this year?
They won the first one, And so he's like, well, yeah, we got another, because I always, have to rib him over the Celtics having more NBA titles. But he claims that it's even because they won the in-season tournament once.
They hung a banner.
No, well, they don't. Yeah, they actually did hang a banner. That's how juvenile the Lakers are. They hang the Celtics would laugh over that. Celtics fans would no more see them hang a banner for that than they would trade Larry Bird back in the day. Hey, we don't recognize those kind of things. You're a gimmicky. Speaking of the NBA, the finals start tonight. Should be good. I mean, if you don't care,
is it tonight or tomorrow?
It's tonight.
Tonight, okay.
Yeah, check me on that, but it's tonight, I believe. If you don't care for the fact that there's no New York, Boston, L.A., Chicago involved, you got 2 really good basketball teams that are going to go up and down the court. And the best team in the regular season is playing for the championship, so that worked out for OKC. Okay. We're going to work out the recruiting report for you. That is coming up after this break here on Sports Talk, and we got some text messages as well. And I got a couple of things in the NIL world. It's a churning. We might dive into that too. Be right back.
And the final start Thursday.
They don't start tonight?
No, Thursday.
I saw tonight.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot, and the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, let's give you the recruiting report tonight, right here on Sports Talk, and back in living color to give us tonight's menu. Berkey couldn't make it happen last night because we didn't have a menu. Yeah,
exactly.
We got a menu, and here is the plumber to tell us all about it.
Well, I can start off by saying Friday is definitely a roast beef Friday, so that's a very good thing.
Good news.
Tomorrow, grilled hamburger steak with onions, carved turkey with cornbread dressing, and fried sway nuggets. So it's the fried fish nuggets that I have no clue. I think that's how you say it. Fried
awesome.
sway. Thursday, beef brisket and fried pork chops and shrimp Alfredo. And then roast beef on Friday with honey barbecue and hot chicken wings and the flounder fillets.
Yay. Are you going to take your plunger to your dorm room?
I was thinking about that.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Have you got a roommate? You're not doing one of those blind roommates, are you?
I am, actually.
Oh, you might end up with an axe murderer.
I might.
I did that.
Sleep with
my freshman year in college.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. And it didn't go over very well.
Yeah, I had
good luck, Josh.
I had two seniors. I had my first semester. Guy was graduating. He was a senior. He was a little weird, but he was nice enough. And then my second semester was I won't say his name. Great guy from Myrtle Beach, related to Clemson running back Lester Brown. Remember Lester Brown? He was related to him. His dad owned a funeral home in Myrtle Beach.
All right.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. He was a great guy. Great guy. And, neither one of them killed me, so that's good. But, Josh, I'm not so sure you're going to make it. You just call old Uncle Phil if you have any trouble.
Uncle Phil, that's a first.
Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
Oh, I should also mention about Seawells that they are there to help you with your very special events when it comes to the best in the catering business. Phone number is 803-771-7385. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So, Clemson gets a commitment today. Max Brown, 6'1", 214. So assuming that his brother is still there, because Max has got 2 more years of high school. He's a 27 guy, unless he reclassifies. So he's got this year, next year. His brother will be draft eligible after next year. If he stays, they play together, Clemson can claim to have the Brownies at linebacker. Get your Brownies. Now, what do you think about that? Good NIL publicity, good NIL campaign there. They should get who makes good brownies? Sarah Lee?
Groucho's has good brownies.
Groucho's.
It's true.
Chick-fil-A. They could get Chick-fil-A to be their sponsors for the brownies. Yeah. So he's.
But let's face it, they're not going out to get any of the marketing stuff. They just go get somebody to give them a check.
Well, I mean, I don't know. At Clemson, supposedly, don't they they have said that their process is philanthropical and getting people to use you for advertising purposes, right? They just don't hand you money at Clemson. Clemson's above that, aren't they?
Sure. Oh, yeah, of course.
That's what
Absolutely.
I hear. Mm-hmm. That's what they want you to believe. I saw a picture today on X. Tyler Atkinson, the very highly recruited linebacker who visited Clemson over the weekend, he posted a picture of himself with Dabo Swinney. They were back to back, and each one had their hands in the prayer formation like they were praying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what Dabo was praying for. I think he was praying for world peace or praying that this guy was going to commit. What do you think? What would be your guess? My guess is praying for the guy to commit. Maybe he was praying for world peace.
Maybe both.
Maybe he's can you do both in one prayer?
I would think world peace probably would carry a little more weight.
Yeah. All right, anyway, Max Brown, he commits to Clemson today. No surprise there at all. Been around Clemson ever since his brother started to be recruited, and ever since his brother committed to the Tigers. And he's excited about the opportunity to spend his time at Clemson, says it's already felt like another home. He's been up there many times, never gets old, small town feel that you don't find anywhere else. He's no slouch. He's 152 tackles, 14 tackles for loss last season, 2 sacks. He's really excited about being coached by Ben Boulware at Clemson as well. Major recruit with offers from Arkansas, Auburn, Duke, Louisville, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Michigan, Florida, LSU. Tomorrow, Clemson's likely to land another in the 26th class as offensive lineman Leo Delaney of Charlotte will make his commitment announcement at 4 o'clock. Made it official to Clemson over the weekend and not making any other officials, so that pretty much tells you what he's going to do. Looks like South Carolina's in great shape, and I'm expecting them to get the twin brothers, defensive tackle Aiden Harris, 6'3", 250, defensive end Andrew Harris, 6'2", 225 of Weddington, North Carolina. They're going to announce soon, probably right after they're official to South Carolina this weekend. They've already committed to the school. They've already contacted the head coach. They did it on different days. And, Beamer put out 2 different commitment alerts recently, probably tied to these 2 guys would be my guess. They narrowed their decisions to South Carolina, Auburn, and NC State. They're both very highly regarded recruits. 2027 Clemson target defensive end Cam Pritchett of Alabaster, Alabama, committed to Oregon. 27 offensive tackle Peyton Miller of Texas camping at Clemson tomorrow. Clemson offered 27 cornerback Larry Moon of IMG Academy. One-time Clemson target linebacker Caleb Gordon of Gastonia committed to Arkansas. Alabama transfer right-hander Ariston Vesey committed to Clemson. Clemson lefty Jackson Cole transferring, and right-hander Chase Kick transferring as well, and Brandon Sweeney transferring from USC. That'll do it. See you tomorrow.